With Season of the Revenant, we got some brand new exotics to go alongside this content drop. Today we're going to be building around the Rhyme Coat Raiment, a Warlock chest exotic that buffs our Bleak Watcher grenade, just like our Osmiomancy buffs our Cold Snaps. We are also giving away the Magento Sonic Waves emblem from TwitchCon this year, so stick around to the end of the video to see how you can win this emblem. If you're new here, welcome to the family, and if you've been here, welcome home. Let's get right into it. First, let's understand how our exotic chest works. Our exotic perk is Bleak Domain. The perk enhances our Bleak Watcher with an extended range and surrounds us with stasis crystals. Also, while we're standing in the storm, we'll be getting icicles over time that will apply slow to targets that we shoot at. The neat thing about this is while our Bleak Watcher is applying slow and freezing targets, we're also going to be given the ability to slow and freeze targets by shooting at them. And from that, when we shatter those targets, our Ice Flare bolts are going to seek out nearby targets and freeze them. You can already paint the picture on where I'm taking this build. With this build, you want maximum crowd control while also pumping out tons of AoE damage by shattering enemies. And that's exactly what we're getting from this build. The stasis crystals that are formed near us while standing in the Bleak Watcher storm can also be used to quickly chunk an enemy that gets too close, and when you shatter those crystals, you'll also proc improved ability regen. Remember this as it will come up later in the video. Okay, so we know our exotic, let's see what we'll be using in terms of our abilities and super loadout. Instead of running prismatic, we will run stasis as this build really shines when we build straight into stasis. I'm going to be choosing to run Healing Rift as we will be standing still, so we want to make sure we can sustain ourselves the best we can without taking tons of damage and dying a ton. If you find that extra damage is worth it, you can run Empowering Rift, but I simply find more value in the Healing Rift. Whatever jump you prefer. Penumbra is our stock melee, so we're going to have to run that. And for our grenade, we are going to run Cold Snap. Cold Snap is the best grenade for stasis, but remember we won't even be using the actual grenade since we'll be turning them into Bleak Watchers. Our aspects are going to consist of Ice Flare bolts and of course Bleak Watchers. Ice Flare bolts are going to generate those seekers I mentioned earlier that are going to track and freeze targets nearby. This gives us that crowd control we're looking for, and Bleak Watcher is pretty self-explanatory. That's what we'll use to make this build work. It creates a stasis turret that will freeze everybody for us. Our fragments will be Whisper of Fissures, Shards, Rending, and Refraction. You can swap Rending for something like Torment that grants grenade energy as we take damage, or Bonds that give orbs for defeating frozen targets, or even something like Whisper of Durance. For abilities that linger, the duration is increased, and slow that we apply to targets lasts longer. Fissures will increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when we destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Shards will allow us to destroy crystals we create to give a temporary boost to our grenades. If we shatter additional crystals, it'll increase the duration of this buff. Rending is going to allow our primaries to do more damage to the crystals and to frozen targets. Refraction will allow us to gain class ability energy when we defeat slowed or frozen targets. Now let's talk weapons. To understand how we are going to pull this build together and really blow through all the types of content with this build, we have several options. We can run a Wicked Implement, Winter Bite, Glass Curve, or Aegir Scepter. Now, I really love Aegir Scepter with this build, mainly because our super is useless. I know that's harsh, but let's be real guys, we're only popping super to stay alive or get some reses. This is where Aegir's takes the spotlight. Its exotic perk is Aegir's Call. Final blows with this weapon generate a slowing burst around the defeated target, but what we are mainly interested in is its catalyst if you have it. The catalyst allows our super to be drained in exchange for more damage and the ability to slow or freeze until we deplete our super energy, run out of ammo, or stow the gun. Now, if you don't have Aggers, don't worry, this is still a solid gun. You can always pivot your gun to any of the ones that I mentioned before. For my secondary, I run a Recluse or Zali's Bane with Incandescent. If you have a crafted mini tool with Incandescent that also works, it's really what you're comfortable with. For the heavy, you can juggle an LMG or grenade launcher to help chunking enemies or mowing through waves of ads. For our mods, I'm going to be running Void and Stasis Siphon on the helmet. You can run Harmonic to satisfy that Stasis Siphon as it'll cost less. For our gauntlets, I'm going to be running 2 grenade kickstarts and bolstering detonation. On our chest piece, please match your resistance mods to whatever activity you're doing. If you're going into a Grandmaster Nightfall and you're doing a predominantly Void Nightfall, you can run 2 Void resistance mods with a concussive dampener. Or if you know you're going into, like, let's say a Cabal GM and it's mostly solar, you might want to do, Solar Void resistance mods. and even like a long range resistance mod. Just match your resistance mods to whatever you're going to be doing. For our boots, we're going to be running Innervation and Stacks on Stacks. Our class item has Powerful Attraction, Reaper, and Bomber on it. Our gameplay loop is going to be super simple here. We're going to be throwing down our Bleak Watcher in an area where we know ads are going to spawn, and we'll be following up with a rift so we don't get shredded. A good thing to note is that when we break our stasis crystals, we'll be proccing a status effect for improved ability regen. That's going to help us cycle our abilities and have a high uptime. You'll be burning down your ads with the Agar Scepter and your secondary. Now what I like to do is run a heavy GL so I can do damage on bosses or mini bosses. And what I'll do is use the Agar Scepter and my Zowlies or my Recluse to kind of burn through the ads. Now let's say there is a tankier yellow bar that comes up. There's not really much you can do about it because you don't want to waste your GL ammo. That catalyst comes in handy here. We'll pop the catalyst so we can start draining our super energy so we can get more damage out on those tougher yellow bars, even some of the mini bosses, and even champions. By doing this, we'll be creating a loop of freezing ads over and over again. It's also worth noting that each enemy that's frozen is also going to create a seeker that's going to go out and freeze even more targets with this on top of the icicles that we're going to be getting from standing in a Bleak Watcher's domain. Depending on the heavy weapon, like I said, you can burst a high value target or continue burning through tougher ads. As you get the kills, as you're breaking the stasis crystals, each time your rift is about to expire or your domain is about to expire, you'll be able to throw down another one. Are there times where you will have no grenade? Yes, but there's probably a stasis crystal somewhere that you can shoot, and you're going to get your ability regen back. Pairing that with the 2 grenade kickstarts, pairing that with all the mods that we're running on our build, there isn't really a reason why you shouldn't have your grenades, but as you practice the gameplay loop, as you practice using the build, you'll find that you'll always have a grenade up. Try to stand in your rift, try to stand in that domain as much as possible, because as you are breaking those crystals, you're just re-proccing that ability regen. So you're always going to be having improved ability regen if you're staying inside of your domain, your rift, destroying all the crystals, chunking all the enemies. If you find that your rift runs out, you can just repop a rift. Like I said, this build has very high ability uptime, and if you're doing salvation and you're just burning through ads and then they start spawning somewhere else, you'll be able to rotate, drop another domain, and continue doing the exact same thing here. That's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing and liking the video, as that goes a long way and it means the world to me. We do use these builds live over on Twitch, so consider following me over there to be a part of the build process live. Also, let me know what you guys think about the build, how it works in the in-game activities you guys might be doing. I'm curious to know. We are also giving away the Magenta Sonic Waves emblem from TwitchCon this year. To win, let me know what your favorite thing about Destiny is, followed by your in-game name, and I'll be drawing a winner in about 2 weeks' time. You do have to be subscribed on YouTube, followed on Twitch and Twitter, as we'll be announcing the winner on Twitter. Good luck, Guardians, and I'll see you guys in the next one.